Okay. So again, my name is Mary Beth. I've been with doTERRA for 5+ years. I run the Simple Ways, which is a learning group on natural solutions. Glad to have you here. We're going to be talking tonight about how to get better fast. So when you have the flu, you have the winter crud, you have all kinds of issues, we're going to talk about some natural solutions to help you deal with it, get over it quickly so you can keep on rolling. Especially as a mom, this is a really big deal to me. Like I said, I've had several rounds of the flu in our house. Both my kids started school this year, and I expected a workout for our immune system, and oh, we've gotten one. So it's been interesting, though, because I've been talking about the flu for years, and just severe winter threats doesn't have to be one particular illness, but severe winter threats for several years. This year particularly has been quite a learning curve for those in the holistic spectrum. And some of the things that we have done before, we need to up the ante so that they're working better. So we're just going to talk about some nutritional things that you can do. We're going to talk about some supplements that you can take, ways to be proactive, and then what do you do when you actually do run into an infection and have an encounter with that. So some nutritional things. One are obviously to cut out the sugar, cut out caffeine and alcohol because those are dehydrating. Pick up all the warm stuff, the warm tea, the warm soup, the brat diet, which is bananas, rice, applesauce, and toast. Those things are intended to increase bulk. They're easier to digest. They can give you quick energy. You know, there's that old adage, starve a fever, feed a cold, or feed a cold, starve a fever. But the truth of the matter is when you have a fever or you have an infection, your body's working extra hard. So you need to give it some fuel to work with. And things that make a big difference are things that are easy to digest. So maybe a meatloaf, a huge cheeseburger, filet mignon are all lovely things, probably not your best bet if you're fighting something off. This is when you want to cut down to soft foods, liquid foods, and actually we're going to, I have a soup recipe, a couple actually, that I'm going to offer for you at the end. They're kind of my favorite get better fast soup recipes for things that are easy to digest, that will still give you some energy, and anything warm. So cold things even aren't as great because they're just harder to digest. So I want to give my body as much support as possible. Okay, so teas, soups, waters, liquids of all kind, juicing, any of the oils, talk about those in a minute. Any of the fruits and vegetables that will increase alkalinity, celery, lemon, those are two big ones. A real simple juice recipe is apples, celery, lemon, and ginger if you like or can tolerate ginger. Those are things that are easy to digest that are going to give your body some quick energy to strengthen your immune system. Now we're going to talk about some supplements. A lot of people love using elderberry syrup all winter long, and that's a great option. With most supplements, you're going to use a little bit proactively, and you're just going to increase the frequency if you actually have an issue. So for example, elderberry syrup, you're taking a teaspoon a day, maybe for a child, a tablespoon for an adult, but then if you actually get something, you're going to be taking it every 3 hours. Vitamin C, now vitamin C, you reach a threshold, so if you have too much, you just excrete out the extra. So there's not too much worry of taking too much vitamin C. Obviously, make sure you have a kind that is easy for you to take. I know Emergen-C is a popular brand. It does have some sugar in it, but just any kind of vitamin C that can help flush that out. Vitamin D3 is the easiest absorbable form of vitamin D. One thing I like a lot is called chlorophyll. This is the lifeblood of a plant. I like the De Souza's brand. You can get it from Swanson's, I think, maybe even Amazon. But liquid chlorophyll, that'll help support your liver. It's a blood purifier, and it just is going to give you some serious plant energy pretty quick. So if you need energy, that's a great option. Enzymes, I love the doTERRA Terrazyme. Now enzymes are going to improve metabolic processes, not only digestion, so when you're eating food, but they also are going to make other essential oils and other nutritional support work better. So if you're really struggling with something, using Terrazyme every couple hours is going to improve your metabolic process. It's also going to improve the exit pathway. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Terrazyme is a great option. Probiotics, the way we describe probiotics in our house, are the good army versus the bad army. Everybody has a bad army or crud living in their gut, and when that crud gets, or those bacteria, viruses, they outnumber the good army or the good bacteria, that's when you get sick. You cannot overdose on probiotics, but you don't want to necessarily start taking a ton all at one time. So because you can get something called a Herxheimer reaction or a die-off reaction. Probiotics are great to take every day, all year round. I recommend taking them on an empty stomach because you have the least amount of competition in the gut. So I want good bacteria to repopulate my gut lining. So I'm going to take it right when I go to bed at night, first thing in the morning with water, that kind of thing. Taking probiotics and enzymes together is also super effective because enzymes will help eat some of the biofilm or slime that covers bacteria. And then the probiotics can more effectively interact with those bad bacteria. So probiotics, we talked about that. And then doTERRA has a great product called Lifelong Vitality. I have a box of it on my shelf, but there are 3 different supplements. There's a Z Omega, which is omega's fish oil, plant-based and marine-based. There's a vitamin and mineral that's food-based, it's easier to digest, and there's Alpha CRS, which is great for cellular energy and repair. Most people I know who take those say, I don't need my afternoon cup of coffee, I'm not as tired, I don't have as many anxious feelings, I'm not having joint pain yet, I'm sleeping better. These are some common reports that I get from people who are taking Lifelong Vitality. In our own family, my husband, who had a traumatic brain injury about 14 years ago, has had a huge success using these supplements just with mental well-being and focus. I mean, he has plates and screws in his head and that kind of thing. And because there are essential oils that we know cross the blood-brain barrier in Lifelong Vitality, these are super helpful for well-being. And interestingly enough, I was talking to a friend of mine, Erin, today, and she told me that she and her husband both got some kind of crud, and she said, I've really bounced back a lot faster than he has. I wonder if it's because I'm taking LLV, I'm taking probiotics, I'm taking enzymes all the time. So there's a line by Louis Pasteur. He's purported to have said, the microbe is nothing, the terrain is everything. Now, Louis Pasteur is the one who came up with germ theory, so talking about microbes and germs and the damage that they can do. And so for him, at the end of all of his life, to reportedly have said, the microbe is nothing, the terrain is everything. The health that you have can help determine how you're going to respond to those threats when you come into contact with them. Okay, so some things to be proactive. We talked about Lifelong Vitality, talked about probiotics. I really like doTERRA's. I'm not going to open the package because it'll be loud, but they have a double encapsulated pill. So it's a pill inside of a pill, so it gets down farther into your gut before that good bacteria open up. So you're not losing as much to stomach acid, which is really helpful. Terrazyme, elderberry. Now, using essential oils on a once or twice a day basis is great for being just proactive, just wanting to support your immune system. So I really like On Guard. It's a blend of some of the best antiviral oils. This year, with some of the things I have heard and talked to people about, I would add another oil and do layering. So you either could make your own roller bottle, take a roller bottle, especially for children. We're going to talk about children in a little bit. You're going to put some On Guard, some Melaleuca, maybe some eucalyptus, frankincense, something like that. So you're going to get a two-for-one deal, and then just keep it in your car and rub it on your kids before they go to school. Put it on yourself before you go to a meeting, different new places where there's going to be an increase of exposure. So using oils once or twice a day topically, certainly diffusing them, is a great way to be proactive. You're going to use probably some of those same oils. You're just going to use them more often once an issue does arise. Now I'll talk just a minute about hydration. Hydration is super important, especially if you have a fever. If you have a fever, your body actually gets dehydrated because you're burning off all the point of a fever, by the way. Let's just backtrack a little bit. Fever is your friend because the goal of a fever is to sweat out or burn out that bacteria, that virus, that kind of thing, to make it so uncomfortable for that bacteria and the virus that it's going to kill it. So even my kid's pediatrician, on their website, it says, do not give children Tylenol or Advil until their fever reaches 102. That's just one perspective. I'm a nurse, but I'm not a doctor. So you do whatever you feel like is the right thing to do. But fever is your friend. It can also be kind of miserable. And we're going to talk about some things that you can do for fever in a few minutes when we go through a list of symptoms that you might be having and ways to support those things. So talking about hydration, now fever can make you dehydrated. But hydration is also really important for dealing with mucus. So if you've got cough, you've got crud in your lungs, you've got drainage in your sinuses, when you get dehydrated, that mucus can get hard, and it makes it harder to get the bacteria out. Because that mucus is carrying bacteria, and you want to flush it out. When it gets stuck in your lungs because you're dehydrated, it becomes more difficult to overcome whatever issue that you've run into or encountered. So hydration is really important through water, through teas, through juices, that kind of thing. A big thing I talk to people about is supporting the exit pathway. It's great and fine to use oils that we know might be antibacterial, antiviral, are going to support the immune system. But if you can't get it out of your body, you can just end up recirculating that same issue. Now, your 3 primary detox organs are your liver, your kidneys, and your colon. Your secondary detox organs are your skin and your lungs. So if you've ever noticed, if you've had a really high fever, you breathe really fast, it's because your body is just trying to cool down. It's a way of doing some detox. So some ways to support your detox organs are, again, enzymes and probiotics, but also doTERRA makes a product, and I happen to be out of it at the moment, called Zendocrine. Not the essential oil or the soft gel, but the detoxification complex. And that specifically supports liver, kidney, and colon to process toxins and get them out of your body. Another thing you can use is there's a powder called Natural Calm. A lot of people use it for sleep, but it also can really support colon activity. I actually give it to my kids if they ever feel constipated. Smooth Move tea is another option. It's really just important to support those detox organs. Now, a great thing to do when you're just feeling miserable anyway is to use detox baths. And there are a couple ways that you can do it, and these are safe for kids, they're safe for adults. They're fantastic for taking a bath before you're going to use an essential oil aromatherapy option. So you can either use Epsom salt, but keep in mind you want to be hydrated with Epsom salt because it can be dehydrating because it's pulling toxins out of your body. 1 to 2 cups of Epsom salt. I'll actually take some lavender, some eucalyptus, digestin, maybe frankincense, and put in the Epsom salt because it soaks in, and then pour it into the bathtub. And that's a really great option. You also can use bentonite clay, and you can get that at Whole Foods, Amazon, that kind of a thing. And another option is 35% hydrogen peroxide. I get mine from a company called Parkway Scientific. If you go that route, call on the phone. You actually get a cheaper deal than if you buy it online. And I just get these 5-pound buckets, keep it out of the reach of children. I wouldn't put kids probably in the bath, just if there was any concern that they would drink it. But I will put 1 or 2 scoops in the bath. It really supports your lymph system. It pulls out heavy metals. I really like using that as an option, especially when you're looking at Epsom salt. Epsom salt can just make you feel sleepy because of all the magnesium. And if you can't feel sleepy, let's say you were me last week and dealing with the flu and trying to also take care of your 5- and 7-year-old, and I thought I have to deal with all these symptoms, but I cannot afford to be sleepy. So I was taking a lot of hydrogen peroxide baths. So keeping your lymph system moving, your lymph system is what's going to drain out toxins. And it's all just underneath your skin, your lymph system. A great way to support your lymph system is actually jumping on the trampoline, but even a light walk can increase circulation, can support your lymphatic system to drain out and move out toxins. And if the weather is in any way reasonable, it's great to be outside. You get the most vitamin D through the sun. That's actually one proposal as to why we have cold and flu season in the winter. Because people aren't outside, their vitamin D levels are naturally much lower than they are in the summer when they're outside. They're absorbing a lot of vitamin D. So for children, we're going to focus on topical and aromatic use. The general rule of thumb is you don't give essential oils to children under the age of 6. So we're going to focus on topical, aromatic, running things in the diffuser, using oils every 3 to 6 hours topically. There's a chart that's on the Simple Ways right now, and I'll post it again in the comments from this video, that gives you a range of safety. Because there's kind of, if you think about a bell curve, there are not enough. If you could use not enough, you could use too much, and you want to be in the happy middle. We're using an appropriate amount of essential oils topically for yourself and also for children. So it's a safety chart for adults and for children, and I'll post it in the comments on this video. So always dilute. Remember that sometimes less is more. Sometimes when you're really sick, you actually use less essential oils because your body is just working so hard. You want to support it, but not overkill. So always use a carrier oil with children and for adults too. When you're struggling out with something, a great way to do essential oils for adults is to put the essential oils all over the back and the bottom of the feet, but then put the carrier oil on top. It almost acts like saran wrap to keep those essential oils from flashing off or evaporating. Children, you would put the oil on first or along with the essential oils. When you put the carrier oil on top, it actually increases how quickly you absorb it. So we're going to talk a little bit about some just symptoms that you might run into, and I want to talk briefly about really why now. I've done this class before. Why are we doing it again? And again, it really is just because I've been talking to so many people in the holistic world. A friend of mine who's an herbalist, been talking to a friend who does biofeedback and homeopathy, other essential oil experts, and I'm just hearing that this particular round of the winter crud is really difficult. So some of the common things that we've done are working, but because this has been such a bad outbreak, they're not working as well, they're taking longer, and hey, I mean, I can deal with 24 to 48 hours, but then I'm ready to be back up and going. And I've heard stories of people being sick for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and nobody's got time for that. So these are some tools that you can use really practically to just help your body get rid of the crud quicker. Okay, so we're just going to go through some symptoms that are common for you to experience when you have just winter crud. So first of all, cough and congestion. Now obviously you've got Breathe cough drops. See those here? Obviously this bag is definitely open and almost empty. That's great for cough and congestion. Breathe, lavender, frankincense. Two oils I really like for cough and congestion are marjoram, or majoram, however you want to say that, and cedarwood. Both of those oils are antispasmodic, and they can be relaxing or sedating. So those are really great to put on the chest and the back. Now, when you think about oils, you always put the oil where the ouchie is. And if the ouchie or the problem is your lungs, then that's where you're going to put the oil. So cedarwood and majoram are great options. Another product that I like a lot is the Breathe stick. This is basically like a giant chapstick, and it has the Breathe essential oil in it. Sometimes I will rub this on my kid's chest and then put some oils along with it, or I'll even drop some essential oils right on top and then rub it all on. That's a great way to use that particular product. And then also lime is considered a cough suppressant. So diffusing lime oil can help with that cough reflux. There's another product called Old Indian Cherry Bark, and I've gotten that from Whole Foods before. So if you're looking for an additional supplement to help that's more nutritional, that's a great option as well. Ear pain, you can use either basil or melaleuca. You can do it a lot of different ways. You can rub it down the back of your ear, which can help break up any congestion you have in your eustachian tubes. You also could take a little piece of cotton ball, probably not even that big, and put some basil, some melaleuca, and then just stuff it in your ear. It's a great thing to do for kids. When my son was a baby, I would put it on his ear and put a piece of tape over it and then change it out every couple hours. Now, lavender is a great one just to use for the discomfort of ear pain. And another kind of off-label use, I suppose, is grapefruit essential oil. Grapefruit increases lymphatic drainage. So you have all this just congestion in your ears, and you need it to drain down. There goes my gumbo. Drain down. And so the grapefruit can help with that drainage. If you have really swollen lymph nodes, that's another great way to use grapefruit. But literally, you're just going to put it on and rub that down, which is going to help with the drainage there. Okay, so the nausea, the vomiting. Actually, my very first experience with essential oils, I didn't believe that they worked yet. I just bought them because it seemed like a good idea. And my very first experience was with peppermint oil. I was laying on the floor, holding onto my stomach, just trying not to throw up, you know. And I took some peppermint oil. Now, you wouldn't do this for children, but for an adult, and you just drop it straight underneath your tongue. That's considered oral use. It goes straight to your bloodstream that way. It works really quickly. Internal use is maybe you're going to put oils in a capsule. You're going to mix it with some honey. You're swallowing it, and so it's going to make a different process through the liver. So peppermint oil, Digest Zen, ginger are all really great options. And then also, I really like activated charcoal. Even when I was in nursing school, we talked about how activated charcoal helps absorb toxins. You can buy it in the powder form, or you can buy it in a capsule at any natural health food store, GNC, Vitamin Shop, Whole Foods, that kind of thing. And you can just, if you're really feeling nauseous, take it every hour. When I give it to my kids, I just open up a capsule and mix it in a little bit of applesauce. They call it black applesauce, and they know if they're throwing up, they're going to get black applesauce. So that's another option. Just keep in mind that charcoal can eventually become constipating, so you want to also make sure that you're supporting the exit pathway with magnesium, with Terrazyme, with probiotics and that kind of thing. Now, when you are super hot, cold, you've got chills, you're feeling warm, some great options are to use lavender oil. Lavender oil is my first go-to for dealing with fever and just reducing body temperature in general. A couple reasons. One, it works. Two, peppermint oil, which also works really well at reducing body temperature. Peppermint oil can also be invigorating and rejuvenating, and I don't necessarily want to invigorate and rejuvenate a 5-year-old at 3 o'clock in the morning. So line can be a great option. Now, another oil that I really like, and I experienced this last week when I had the flu, is in a totally opposite way, is using ginger oil. Now, ginger oil, as a warming oil, it can actually increase your body temperature until it reaches the breaking point of the fever, and then the fever breaks naturally. So I had a fever just on and off all day. I took a really warm bath with some 35% peroxide or Epsom salt, I can't remember which one. And then I took a bunch of ginger oil and some carrier oil. It's a warm oil, so you want to use carrier, and rubbed it all over my chest, put on warm jammies. And not to be gross, but I soaked through 3 pairs of pajamas over the next 6 hours, just as my body was flushing it out. And so that was a fun new learning curve for me. So lavender, peppermint are your standards, and ginger oil is another great one that works well in an opposite kind of way. And also, this was so silly, but I knew peppermint would help, but I just couldn't stand the thought of being cold because peppermint can be cooling. And so that's why I thought, well, I'm just going to try the ginger because I just want to be warm. You know, when you have a fever, all you want to do is be warm. So supporting the detox organs, we talked about that. Another thing, that if you can get hold of a really good high quality lobelia tincture, lobelia is, so I love herbs and I love essential oils, and I use them together a lot because I just feel like even though they're the same plant, they have very different properties and they work well together. So lobelia is an herb that helps draw out poisons. So I have many more times than one taken lobelia tincture and rubbed it topically all over the spine, the bottom of the feet, to help deal with fever and infection and that kind of a thing. All right, so for your general achiness, you can use a lot of oils here, but frankincense, aroma touch oil, lavender, these are just great oils to rub on the spine. Now I want to talk for a few minutes about actually addressing the infection, and there's a lot of options here. So I'm out of most of them because I can't tell you, I'm doing this class because we've been in the trenches learning about how to deal with this issue. So On Guard soft gels, they're a soft gel that have 2 drops of essential oil, but it's a blend of On Guard, black pepper, oregano, and melissa. And we're going to talk about melissa some more in a few minutes. That's a great option. There are the On Guard beadlets. Beadlets are super teeny tiny fingernail size beadlets, and they contain 1/4 drop of essential oil. So On Guard beadlets are great. I was taking peppermint beadlets for the nausea recently. Now, one of our standard recommendations is Floom, F-L-O-O-M, which stands for frankincense, lemon, On Guard, oregano, and melaleuca. Now, you can't use this for more than 10 days in a row because of the oregano. You could pull out the oregano and use it every day if you wanted to. Oregano has a 10-day limit because it has a longer half-life in the liver. That's why. Lemongrass is the same way. Those are the only 2 oils that are like that. But you can use Floom topically. Adults could use it internally, and you just would put it in an empty capsule and swallow it. Take it about every 4 hours. One thing that I have found really effective this year particularly is melissa oil. Of course, it's the most expensive essential oil that you can get from doTERRA, but it is a powerhouse when it comes to viral issues and to immunity. And so I think I've been 24, 48 hours getting over the crud twice this winter, and melissa has been a key component. Now, one of the things I'm going to post in the comments to this group is something called Symphony of Cells. Now, Symphony of Cells is the concept of layering essential oils. So when you have your frankincense, for example, and your lavender, when you layer them, you're going to rub one on first and then another one on. And basically, you're like multiplying. So I'm going to take all the effects of lavender, multiply them by frankincense, multiply them by melaleuca, so on and so forth. So it's more effective if you want to get a serious bang for your buck to layer than just to dump them all on your back at the same time and rub them in. So layering oils, and then I'm going to put up the infection protocol. But the infection protocol goes through 10 different oils. You're just going to do clockwise circles up the spine. This is frankincense, oregano, thyme, On Guard, Aromatouch, lemongrass, melaleuca, melissa, and peppermint. And so I recently had just the fever. I felt nauseous, and I thought, I don't have time for this. And so I asked my husband to do Symphony of Cells for me, and he rubbed all of those oils on. Now that's a lot of oils at one time, so you're only going to do that once or twice per day. Again, looking at the safety chart that will be posted in the comments of this class. And then again, you're going to hydrate, support your body, getting rid of those toxins. So Melissa oil, I talked about, Symphony of Cells. And if you would like some great soup day, sick day recipes, there's a couple soups that I really like to make that are easy to digest, that are warm, that don't have a lot of meat in them, that are easy to break down. Please email me at thesimple.ways@gmail.com, thesimple@gmail.com. I'd be glad to send you some recipes, other further tips and tricks. And then if you've not yet started your essential oil stash, now you can see this is my pharmacy in the background. That box right there, there's another box, there's some more oils over there. This is what we use for our first aid kit in our family. So if you've not started your essential oil stash, there are 3 ways that you can purchase. I work with doTERRA. I've been very pleased with them as a company for their educational component, for the quality of their product, and I could talk about that for half an hour. But I can tell you that there's 3 ways to purchase. You can buy them retail from whoever invited you to this class, or from me directly. You can buy them wholesale. They kind of work like Sam's or Costco. You pay $35 and you get a wholesale account. You can purchase at 25% off, as little or as much as you want to. Or you can get a starter kit, which is my highest recommendation because it really expedites your learning curve on essential oils. When I got started with oils, I'll never forget, I called my friend and said, I want to pay the membership and I want lavender and On Guard. That's what I said. And she said, okay, well, here's the price for that. Or if you want to get a starter kit, because the starter kit waives the membership fee, so you don't pay that $35. And I said, oh, okay, fine, sure, I'll get a starter kit. Well, within a couple of months, the oils that I learned that made a really big difference for me were peppermint for that nausea, frankincense for a cyst that I'd had on my back for many years, and oregano. I had plantar's warts, and I used those, and they cleared them right up. So it took me a couple of months to learn how to use lavender and On Guard. It was funny, I wouldn't have ever purchased those other oils, but since I had them, I was willing to try them, and I learned a lot faster how to increase my learning curve. And Nicole, I see that you raised your hand. Can you use the chat function and then ask your question that way? That would be great. So if you have not started your essential oil journey, and you please contact the person who invited you to this class, who sent you this link. If you don't have a doTERRA person that you're working with, feel free to email me at thesimpleways@gmail.com. And I would love to support you. But again, if you're already working with somebody, if somebody invited you to this class, sent you this link, please feel free to reach out to them. I would love to hear what's working for you, what questions you have, and thank you again for joining us. Have a good night.